Okay, Algebra Quadratics Part 1. Let's start with our vertex form. Remember, our vertex form is y equals a times x minus h squared plus k, given that the vertex in this case is hk. So it's h comma k is our vertex. So everything that we're working with today is in a simplified form of the vertex form. So sometimes h is going to be 0, maybe a, but it is all simplified form. And now we're going to solve using square root of a different form of the vertex form. So let's look here. First, if we have x squared equals 0, so we had and in this case, our formula is actually y equals x squared, but instead of y, our y is 60. So this is actually 60 equals x squared. So now we know what y is. We want to find out what x is in this formula. And just a little reminder, our parabola is kind of like a U. So it kind of looks like a U in some cases. So our parabola in a lot of cases can have two answers, because if the x values are here, so it can have two answers, it can have one answer, but that's why when we take the square root, so what we are going to do is we are going to take the square root to solve for x. So here, if we take the square root of 60 and the square root of x squared, because if you think about it like this, if you took, let's say, a different square number, so let's say if you took 3 times 3, that equals positive 9. But if you also take negative 3 times negative 3, that also equals positive 9, because a negative times a negative makes a positive. So when we take a square root, we don't have one answer. We actually technically have two answers. We have a positive and a negative answer. So here, I'm going to show you how do we take the square root of 60 on our calculator, like so. So let me make this bigger. And here we go. To find the square root, all we have to do is press the second. So second, then press this x squared button right here. So x squared, and you'll see a square root sign there. And then we're going to press 60 from our example. So here, 60. And then press enter. That will give us the square root of x squared equals 60. And so then from there, we see our answer is 7.745. So if we round that to 2 decimal places, we get 7.75. But remember, our answer isn't just 7.75. It is positive and negative 7.75. So this is our answer to that question. So let's look at the next one. We have an x plus 6 squared equals 36. So first things first, I want to take the square root onto both sides. We want to take the square root of both sides in order to get rid of this x squared here. So I'm going to take the square root of x plus 6, and since this is squared and we're taking the square root of that, it cancels out that x squared sign. So it just becomes x plus 6, and then the other side, if we punch in our calculator the square root of 36, that is just plain old 6, but it's not just 6. Our answer is plus or minus 6. So it's a plus or minus 6. Then to solve for x, I wanted to subtract x to both sides. And then x equals, here, let me make this bigger, -6 plus 6, and also -6 minus 6. So remember, we have two answers. There's always two answers. -6 plus 6 is 0, and -6 minus 6 is -12. So here are our two answers using that. Let's try another example. So here we got a x minus 2 squared equals 3. I want to find the answer, so I'm going to square root both sides. The square root cancels the signs, the x squared sign, so it's just going to be x minus 2 equals. So I'm going to take the square root of 3 in the calculator, and it is 1.73. So it is plus or minus 1.73. To find x, I'm going to add 2 to both sides. So x has two answers. X is 2 plus 1.73, and x equals 2 minus 1.73. I'm going to punch those into the calculator, and one answer should be 3.73, and the other answer is 0.27. Like so. Remember, there's two answers to every question. Let's look at the very last example. We have an x minus 4 squared. I'm going to take the square root to both sides. And here is a special case. So this here, we have x minus 4. The signs go away, but let's see what happens when we do -11 as a perfect on the calculator, when we do the square root of -11. Here, clear that. Our next example, if we had the square root of -11, so let's check that. Here, second, square root, and then negative on here, 11, and parentheses, press equal, and notice it says domain error. That means that is not a valid answer. So since -11, we cannot take a square root of a negative answer, this is no solution. We cannot have a solution of a negative answer. So those are the different examples. Use the rest of the time to work on your assignment.